Hello, and welcome to Four Wheel Tech, powered by ohmtown.com. Today is May 12th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 8. Today we're going to continue talking about Fisker problems. Cicadas are coming. The Camaro Berlinetta. The Kia EV6 Refresh. Fined for selling cars without functional airbags. Rolls-Royce crossover. Hyundai's best-selling SUV hybrid. A hydrogen-burning engine, Honda ramps up R&D in hybrid tech, and an innovative EV motor from the performance sector. I am Merwat, and up there, down there, over there, everywhere is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, hometown citizens. Welcome to Four Wheel Tech.
Everything is powered, like I said earlier, by ohmtown.com. So enjoy. Let's get into today's articles. I'm running a little late, and that's because I was trying to remedy an account problem, and it doesn't seem to exist anymore. So I'm trying to find out what went down. But we do things rather quickly on the fly here, so I'm gonna float with this and see what happens. Let's go. First article's over in Four Wheel Tech. Troubled EV maker Fisker faces another federal probe for phantom braking. The federal government is looking at phantom braking problem that appears to be affecting the Fisker Ocean electric crossover. Earlier this week, the National Highway Traffic Safety, Traffic Safety Administration Office of Defects Investigation opened a safety probe into the electric vehicles. Its fourth so far.
Wow, I mean, they're really, they've had a lot of problems lately.
And watch it be found. No, I was going to start a conspiracy because I really like a good conspiracy. Anyway, open investigations are also examining whether the doors can fail to open, in addition to problems with shifting into and out of park and issues with partial braking loss over low grip surfaces. What the frick is going on? They look good, although their badge is massive. This thing has its own orbit. Anyway, Jonathan M. Gitlin over at arstechnica.com put the article together. This makes 4 open federal safety investigations for the Fisker Ocean. The Ocean.
Wow, it's even the same one with issues.
Yeah, the newest preliminary investigation was opened by NHTSA's ODI after the regulator received 8 complaints of alleged inappropriate automatic emergency braking. AEB is one of the more effective new active driver safety systems. NHTSA added it to its list of recommended safety features almost a decade ago, and last month it published industry standards that will make the feature mandatory on all new cars and trucks, although not until September of 2029. We talked about that in a previous episode. You just can't really get into this because this is an ongoing investigation. It is an ongoing investigation. I'd be curious to know if anybody has actually run afoul of this. But before we get too far, like all of the shows, I throw all of the links into the Twitch chat. And I didn't do that just yet. So here we are talking about the Fisker. And I'm throwing all of these links into the chat. So if you're interested in these links, you can click them in the VOD. Well, you can click them in the chat right now. They will be part of the show notes over on YouTube and in the podcast for you to go and follow these links as you listen. And I'm almost done. Sorry about this. By next week, I will have this all set up so that it automatically posts just a wee click away. At any rate, the startup automaker was in talks with Nissan that would have led to a partnership as well as an infusion of funds for Fisker, but Nissan walked away in March, devaluing Fisker's stock price even further in the process. Earlier this week, Fisker filed for bankruptcy for its Austrian division, and they've shuttered they shuttered their headquarters.
Right. I mean, that's a good sign for a car manufacturer, right?
Yeah, pretty brutal. All right. Well, I wish that they didn't suck so much because I really like their design. But let's keep going. The next article is over on Four Wheel Tech as well. Cicadas are coming to mess up your car. Here's what you should do to prepare for it. Don't drive.
I know. I mean, I thought everybody was worried about cicadas creating noise or anything like that, but not for cars.
Oh, this is going to be messy. And they're heavy, they're bulky, they're basically armor covered, and they're going to be smashing up against windows and your
Oh,
grill.
yeah, I
And
didn't even think about that.
ugh. So this summer, much of the American Midwest will be subject to the hatching of 13-year cycle brood 19 and 17-year cycle brood 12 cicadas, as an estimated billion plus of the annoying insects jump to life. This monstrous legion will swarm the countryside, largely focused on Illinois, Missouri, and Georgia. So, see ya. I'm not going to be visiting. Wait. Oh, never mind. So, the article is over at Jalopnik. Bradley Brunell is the author. The deck statement says these messy little bugs could potentially do lots of damage. Oh, man, those things. I don't know. They're ugly and cute at the same time. I don't know what to
Yeah,
say.
I think it depends on where you are in relation to them, right?
Yeah, the picture makes them look kind of cool. You know what would be better is if the only part of their body was this right here, like right up until this spot, but there's a whole thing back here. Their thorax is way back here, or their abdomen. Sorry, their abdomen is way back here, and that's where it gets creepy. But these little red bug eyes, that look like, I don't know, it looks like it's a vampire insect. It should be in the game V Rising and flying
Oh,
around.
yeah, that would be a perfect place for it.
Yep, it would be a great pet. So hitting cicadas, there are 4 major points to note if you run headlong into a bunch of these cicadas, or even encounter just a few. Visibility issues, paint damage, clogged radiator grills, or they can even hit you if you're driving with a window down. Whack! Right into your
Oh,
noodle.
gosh.
Yep.
That's going to cause accidents, isn't it?
Well, it has potential. I mean, there was a thing that was posted on the internet about a guy who a seed dropped out of a. He's an officer. I don't know if he's still. I don't know. I know that the partner quit, but resigned. But like an acorn fell on his police car, and he acted like he was shot, and he emptied his entire service weapon into the car, and then the partner did without even knowing, and there was somebody in the back of the car. I mean,
Wow. I think we did an article on that.
yeah, we
I think
did.
it was in the UK.
Yeah. Oh no, that was here in the States. No, it was here in the States. But kind of numbnuts. Of course, there's going to be accidents because a bug flies into their car and they're going to lose their mind. Let's hope nobody does that, but we'll see. Cicadas aren't heavy enough to cause cracks or chips, but they could exacerbate existing cracks. Oh, wow. But they say what's the last thing that goes through a cicada's mind when it hits your windshield? It's
Oh,
abdomen.
probably the end.
Yeah, it's butt. So a cicada is going to hit your windshield. You're going to have to clean all of that. It can sit there and clog up your grill. You'll have to sit there and clean that. It hits lights. You'll have to clean your lights. So,
Wow. I mean, this is sounding like, I don't know, pretty significant, like worse than getting hit by a deer or something.
well, look at that. Cicadas cause car crash in Ohio as Brood X looms. This must be back in the day, yo. Because it said Brood 10. So the bugs are always looking for a nice, comfortable place to burrow. A AAA spokesperson told NBC5 Chicago cabin filters, engine air filters can become a playground for cicadas. They recommend periodically listening for unusual sounds emanating from the filter housings. Clear them out as necessary, or if you don't want to touch the bugs, you can send your car to a service shop. So yeah, you're going to be cleaning your car a little bit more. So bone up on pressure washing your car because you probably don't want to sit there and hand wash that.
Oh, no.
Extra protein. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the four-wheel tech. 1982 Chevy Camaro Berlinetta was slower than a muscle car has any right to be. The Chevy Camaro was introduced to the world as Chevy's answer to Ford's revolutionary affordable performance car, the Mustang. But by the time the gas crunch came around, there wasn't much performance left to offer. The author says that they were raised in a Ford family, but even the Ford Mustang of the era struggled to live up to its muscle car name, I suppose. Logan Carter over at Jalopnik put the article together. The deck statement says the early 1980s was a challenging time for automakers, and this Camaro is proof. Yeah, that does not look like a good-looking Camaro. But there is a song called Bitchin' Camaro, Bitchin' Camaro. I ran over my neighbor. Bitchin' Camaro, Bitchin' Camaro. Now it's in all the papers. I wonder if I'm going to get busted for covering that song.
Yeah, I'm like, if you're going to get a copyright strike for that, we might as well have played the music.
So the Camaro in question was then new third generation of the Camaro in short-lived Berlinetta trim. Berlinettas were meant to be more luxury focused than the traditional Camaro muscle car recipe, with softer suspension, fancier interior appointments. Berlinettas were offered in either the 2.8 liter V6 under the hood of the Motor Week test car or a carbureted 5.0 liter V8. Neither engine provided great performance, and all Camaros of the time were slow, which, I don't know, of the time, they're heavy. They were much heavier, if I remember right. Motor Week Retro Review doesn't include a 0 to 60 mile per hour run, but it does include some of the other acceleration measures. The test car took 19.4 seconds to run a max speed quarter mile and only achieved a trap speed of a measly 70 miles per hour. Wow. So, yeah, very slow. Nowadays, though, woof. Bitchin' Camaro is right. I really like them.
Right, I thought they were pretty fast, at least modern ones, right?
Mm-hmm. No, they're pretty, and there's different tiers, so nothing from this era had guts because it was an oil crisis, so gas prices were high, oil prices were high, and so you wanted to get better gas mileage. So you weren't sitting there drinking from the fuel tank, you know?
Hopefully not.
So if you're interested in this kind of thing, there are pictures over here at Jalopnik, where Logan Carter writes about how this thing was basically a big beast. There isn't much to it. And there's a video, a retro review of the 1982 Chevy Camaro Berlinetta over on YouTube. But it is, again, from Jalopnik, so go check it out. Let's keep on going.
Yeah, I think that's a YouTube channel because I was trying to find that source. But
Gotcha. So the next article is over on Four Wheel Tech. Kia EV6 Refreshed tease with star map lighting. So I don't know if this article is actually going to frame it like that. So, because we kind of vamp off of the whole thing. Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Do you think this is like Hollywood star map?
Yeah, that's it. If you look out to your left, here's Jonathan Ramsey over at autoblog.com put the article together, along with Kia EV3 coming later this year, the EV4 plus the EV5 for global markets. The automaker is working on a refresh version of its first battery electric vehicle for the US market, the EV6. Proving that the design juggernaut won't stop anywhere in the Hyundai group, the EV6 went on sale here less than 3 years ago as a 2022 model, but doing everything to maintain focus on its commitment to EVs. Kia wants its veteran rocking the new family look so everyone on the street knows what's what. That means star map lighting front and back, the angular super thin LED lighting arrangement propagating through that lineup. In front, the complex pattern of DRLs and projectors on today's car give way to simple, sharp C-shaped bracket pulled back towards the corner. So I don't know if they're going to actually show a picture of this thing. So like that right there. all of that. Dun, dun, dun. So I won't play the video. We just don't do it. But these little lights right here, dun, 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 these all light up all the way
Okay.
along.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah. Let me hide this. So there you go. Ugh. So like all of this, they have these little lights, but this all lights up like driving lights, you know. They might have something in the back too. I'm not sure if they'll walk around. Yeah, there we go. So that all lights up.
Okay, I mean, that's pretty unusual.
I don't know if they'll show it in the dark. Kia After Dark next on Hometown Daily.
Get your star maps here.
So that's really the only thing that I want to talk about was that star map lighting front and back. Let's see, a body-colored spar stretches across the front into the DRLs, separating the upper light from the main beams below, making for a more dynamic look. And then they talk about a little more in back. A thinner light bar spans the rear from fender to fender. The star map's signature notches and hooks in the light design tie this end to the front. Hyundai recently refreshed the Ioniq 5. The EV6's corporate sibling with a larger battery went out to 77.4 kilowatt hours. In went an 84 kilowatt hour battery that added another 20 miles of range. Except hybrids still, mop the floor with anybody. We also expect the entry-level light rear-wheel drive trim to retain its 58 kilowatt battery, which if I'm going to be relegated to just rear-wheel drive and I have to suffer with 58 kilowatts, man, I want this battery and rear-wheel drive. Let me extend my range, for crying out loud. This is ridiculous.
Exactly. This is like subscription seats.
Ah, gosh, this is just horrible. I'm so tired of hearing this. That's why I think everybody is switching to hybrids. So y'all better fix this, automotive industry. Nobody wants all electric anymore. Let's keep going though. The next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech as well. Kansas dealer fined $418,000 for selling cars without working airbags. I mean, it's a life safety issue here.
Typically, and especially if you think you have an airbag.
And that's probably the worst. You think you're safe and you're not. But those speak to the Takati issue too. Those airbags act like claymores if they're the old broken ones. Typically, you don't think about airbags in your car unless the light comes on. You're in a wreck, or you get a letter in the mail that says your airbags have been recalled. This is probably a Takati. Yeah, Takata. Airbag death sparks do not drive order for Dodge is the link that's highlighted here.
And of course, it wasn't just Dodge, right? It was across multiple car manufacturers.
Everywhere they sold. Yep. So if you do happen to get into a wreck, though, you better hope your airbags work, because they are one of the most important safety features on your car. The article is over at jalopnik.com. Colin Woodard is the author. The deck statement says these weren't cars where the airbags were simply broken or disconnected either. But I don't understand what that means. Oh, so they weren't broken or disconnected? They just weren't working. I don't understand what that means.
I don't know.
Let's find out. So the judgment against Carnation, 13 cars with blown airbags not replaced. Oh my gosh. That means that it had gone off and all they did was remove it or pack it back in and put the cover on.
Oh, wow. That's horrible.
Buyer found airbag simulator installed.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is a whole nother level.
This is the biggest issue. All of it is the biggest issue, but it means that the vehicles may have been falsely represented as being working. So Wichita's 12 News reports that Carnation, a local dealer, has been ordered to pay $418,000 default judgment over... Oh, default too.
Wow, they're really...
on the ball?
With their reputation and... Yeah.
Wow, they just didn't give a shit.
I bet they're not even in the country anymore.
That would be interesting. The ensuing investigation eventually found at least 12 more cars that were sold without their airbags being replaced, and one being a simulator device that kept the car from displaying its airbag warning light. Wow, what a trash human.
I mean, just the level of fraud here is, and on something for safety of all things.
Wow. So back in 2019, the dealer entered a consent judgment with the Consumer Protection Division for, you guessed it, selling cars without first replacing the airbags. So while Carnation was only fined $2,000 per vehicle, because the court believes it engaged in deceptive acts and willfully violated a previous consent judgment, it also ordered the dealer to pay $390,000 in civil penalties, as well as to cover court costs and any investigation fees. So, bam. Wow.
Oh, that's good.
They took his dealer license, and permanently banned the dealer from selling any additional cars in the state of Texas. That should be a national
Kansas.
ban. I said Kansas. Didn't I say Kansas? What did I say?
Texas.
Oh, I thought I said Kansas. I swear I said Kansas, but that's okay. We'll play back the film. You know what? We'll play back the film. You make the call. Not you. You're AI. You said I said Texas. I said Kansas.
Yeah, isn't he just going to go over the state line and open up another dealership?
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's going to be Carnation or Tarnation.
Oh, right. In and out.
What in Tarnation? Okay. Wow. That's horrible. All right. Can't say much more about that. So let's keep on trucking down Main Street, ohmTown. This article is also in 4Wheel Tech. Rolls-Royce hatches updated Cullinan crossover, or Cullinan. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I don't own a Rolls-Royce. The British ultra-luxury brand has credited the Cullinan for lowering the average age of its well-heeled customers from, 95 or something like that.
You know what would lower the age?
The price? Lowering
yeah,
as
exactly.
Well?
Like maybe make it accessible. I mean, make an accessible model.
Come on.
But that would work against the brand, I'm sure.
That's right. Rolls-Royce doesn't sell to plebes, for crying out loud. Jack Walsworth put the article together, autonews.com or automotivenews.com. The Cullinan will continue to be powered by a behemoth 6.75 liter twin turbo V12 that drinks $7 a gallon gas. I won't be able to talk about it because I am not signed in, but it says it's a large crossover, a major driver for the British ultra luxury brand's sales growth in the United States and other markets. It's getting an updated look for the 2025 model year. This thing just looks like a behemoth. Like a complete pig.
It does, but at least it's a little more modern. But this is like this other, I forgot who we were talking about, maybe Ferrari, but it's like they have a certain look and a certain appeal, and if you either have to lean into that or, right, like if you're trying to appeal to everybody, then you're kind of taking away from your brand.
Yeah. So it's going to have that same blocky front end grille. It has suicide doors, so they like French doors on cars, basically. It just looks like a tank. It looks like it has the front end of a Rolls-Royce, but the back end of a Land Rover.
It kind of looks like it should be armored or something, but...
Yeah, like these should actually fold down in like a rocket launcher.
Like for a James Bond movie or something.
Yeah, exactly. I really don't like this back end, but that's okay. We don't have the full picture of it, but I wanted to draw attention to it. I don't have the ability to log in right now, so let's keep going then, because we're just kind of vamping through this whole thing. I'm not sure why. Okay. Anyway, ohmTown Daily is the next article location. It's actually at Business Insider. That's where we got it sourced from. The author drove Hyundai's best-selling SUV and found it's a perfect hybrid for people who don't like hybrids. The Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, or Tucson if you're from Tucson. No, the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid is a compact crossover SUV that rivals competitors from Toyota and Honda. The author enjoyed the stylish looks, new tech, solid performance, and fuel efficiency, and they were disappointed with a somewhat unrefined drivetrain and transmission. So let's take a look at this thing. Benjamin Zhang over at Business Insider put this article together. There's the car. This looks like the every person's crossover.
Yeah, it looks like now I can't think of which one it was. I think it fits too many of them.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is just kind of a so-so blend. Closest that I can say again is the Mazda.
Well, I almost said that, and then I was like, well, maybe it looks like something else, but I think it does look like the Mazda.
Like a 50, a CX-50. So let's see what they say here. For the past 20 years, Hyundai's offering in this crucial segment has been the Tucson. Nearly 210,000 units sold in 2023. It's one of the most popular models in the segment, with its fourth generation launching in 2021. So it's finally getting a refresh. They spent a week with the 2024 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid Limited all-wheel drive around the roads of suburban Atlanta to see why it's so popular with buyers. I
know one reason. It's a hybrid.
Yeah, and that's what everybody wants. They said it has a quiet cabin. Well, that's because it doesn't have an ice in it. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. You'll see about it. But let's just say, oh wow, this is actually a pretty reasonably priced hybrid too.
Right.
This is limited all-wheel drive, $45,450, but you can get the base $27,500.
That's actually kind of shocking.
Yep. Their test car is the Tucson Hybrid Limited with all-wheel drive, starts at $39,465, and with fees, you might get tax breaks too, lowering it, but it was ending up with fees and whatever, $41,010. So it competes with a handful of rivals. Yeah, this looks so much like a Mazda.
Okay, you know what I was gonna say? That actually looks like a RAV4. Look at that is a RAV4.
Yeah, they all look like a Mazda, or because even the Mazda looks like a RAV4. They all look so much the same. It has to be an aesthetic that everybody is lining with. What immediately stands out about the Tucson is its striking looks. I don't know. It doesn't look, amazingly spectacular. It looks like
I mean, it's not a bad looking car, but it doesn't really stand out.
The only thing that I think is odd about this is that it has a sharply sloping back end. So right behind the rear passenger compartment, it just starts dropping down. It's not like amazingly sharp, but it certainly seems to be kind of truncated right there. But it looks like the rear passengers are almost sitting on top of the fender well.
Right.
And most of everything that I see is really the front end. So let's see what they say here in this article. 19-inch alloy optional. It has a little wing across the top. That's a light bar that runs across the tailgate here. I don't know. It seems pretty humdrum. See how it drops down right there?
Mm-hmm.
So it gets kind of pinchy in the back. It angles up. So it gives a little bit more ruggedized look. It doesn't have these massive fender flares like the Mazdas do. But
right.
The Tucson is 1 inch longer than the Toyota RAV4, 2.5 inches shorter than the Honda CR-V. Oh, the Honda CR-V is the one that actually has that really sharp, like truncated back. It's flat in the back. So it says the interior is comfortable and relaxing. I mean, it looks pretty great. Leather trimmed front seats are heated and ventilated, and you only have to pay $4.99 a month. No, just kidding. You don't have to pay a subscription.
I mean, it's a hybrid. The price isn't outrageous.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. I want to see if I can get to something that is, by the way, instrument displayed. It says home to a blind spot monitor, which is brilliant. All cars have to have since 2015, have to have a rear view camera now. It says here's a look at the closer camera that's right there. It's pretty neat. Rear view mirror mounted side cameras. Pretty interesting. Look at that. You basically get an all-around view of your car.
I mean, that's good.
That's really interesting. So,
did you see the car park feature?
Smart Park. Also equipped with a remote smart parking assistant, or as they called it in the commercial, Smart Pack, which can pull a vehicle into and out of a parking space with the driver outside the car. Done.
Yeah, that might be the biggest selling feature.
Yeah, you just have to. The way that I understand that kind of stuff is you have to pull up next to the parking spot and it scans to see if it's big enough, and then you can get out and it'll back in. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
That is really crazy.
So it's powered by a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine working in unison with an electric drive motor. So here's the thing. Every hybrid that I've ever seen is sub 180 horsepower, right? Sub 200 horsepower until you get up to about the $65,000-$75,000 range, and then you can get a little bit more performance. The electric motor actually assists with getting up and operational, so you don't have to wait for the engine to spool up torque to take off. The total output combined is 226 horsepower and is mated to a traditional 6-speed automatic transmission. And the battery is wimpy, 1.49 kilowatt lithium ion battery, but that's what charges so that you can actually drive it under electric power, and then it keeps on sipping. The plug-in hybrid version comes with a more powerful 90 horsepower electric drive motor, a larger 13.8 kilowatt lithium ion battery pack, and an onboard charging port. So the internal combustion only version of the Tucson is powered by a 187 2.5 liter normally aspirated 4-cylinder engine mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And it comes in front wheel and all-wheel drive. So they talk about it, and everybody's perception of how a car drives is unique. So I don't really pay attention to that. But there you have it. They say, according to Motor Trend, the 2024 Hyundai Tucson hybrid can reach 60 miles per hour from standstill in a respectable 7.8 seconds. And then they say they only have 2 real gripes.
How about the high-pitched noise it makes under hard acceleration?
Can be jarring. That has to be because of the motor. Like, not the engine, not the ICE, but the motor, the gas motor. I mean, the electric motor, sorry. It's gas, engine, electric motor. Anyway, in addition, the 6-speed transmission has a tendency to hesitate during low-speed driving, leading to abrupt gear changes. Yeah, it spins up and then pops into gear. That's always frustrating, though. Let's keep going. The next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech as well. It's in Autoblog. Alpenglow HY4 prototype showcases hydrogen burning engine. Ronan Glon over at autoblog.com put it together. It says it's become the latest car maker to tacitly admit the future might not be entirely electric after all. The brand, which is owned by Renault, and which should head to the American market by 2030, has detailed an experimental race car powered by a hydrogen burning engine. They say detailed rather than unveiled because they've already seen this concept. It made its debut as the Alpenglow at the 2022 edition of the Paris Auto Show. Nearly 2 years later, much has changed. including some of the finer details. The name, it received the HY4 suffix, and crucially the powertrain, what sounded like a little more than a vague simulation in 2022, is now a full set of specs. The engine burns hydrogen, has a 7,000 RPM redline, 340 horsepower, carbon fiber monocoque, and powered by that 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. Interesting. So
It is interesting, I guess. Can you drive this? Like, where do you...
To Walmart. Alpine claims that its performance is on par with a gasoline-powered 2-liter 4 and quotes a top speed of 167 miles per hour. So won't get into the whole thing about hydrogen, but anyway, so it combusts hydrogen, builds quite a bit of heat and torque. So what next depends on a number of factors, including regulations. For its part, Alpine claims the technology is a tremendously promising solution for racing and road use. Renault, the Paris brand that owns Alpine, agrees it's considering various ways to use what it calls the hydrogen solution across its portfolio. The only problem is you have to find hydrogen fueling stations.
That's what I meant.
They're clunky. Yeah, they're rare and they're clunky. It's not like just walking up and grabbing the old gas pump and fueling it up. There's a couple more beeps and whistles to it. But I think that as time goes on, they'll figure it all out. But they're not going to be built. You have to extract hydrogen, and that isn't something that's easily done cheaply. So I think that it maybe as time goes on, we'll be able to. But my understanding is there's a hydrogen crunch. So it's like helium. It's something that has to be manufactured and then stored and then compressed into tanks in the vehicle. So I just don't see this. Again, it's luxury. It's high tech.
I mean, it looks cool. I'd like to see that if it was on a racetrack or something.
Well, I'd like to see it in person too, but let's see. Well, this is the prototype, and they're not talking about price. So here's that saying: if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. So Honda ramps up R&D spending, particularly to advance its hybrid edge. The article is also over at Autoblog. It's done by Reuters, though. Honda plans to build 2 million hybrids per year by 2030. I think that's their specialty now. Honda Motor Company said on Friday. Yeah, I think that's what they saw the writing on the wall before everybody else, and they've been doing stuff with hybrid. As it forecasted a 2.4 rise in operating profit for 2024-25, Japan's second largest automaker by volume announced a share buyback worth up to 300 billion yen or $1.93 billion. They're not screwing around, but it's basically the same thing. They're concentrating value to the primary stakeholders. They're buying back stock from people, so the price for the stock will go up as more is constrained by the company. Particularly if earnings report shows profitability, then it'll go up. But if they buy it all back and it collapses, then they're actually kind of hurting themselves. But after beating analysts' fourth quarter earnings estimates, helped by strong sales growth in the United States, which offset a decline in China, a weaker Japanese yen, robust hybrid model sales also contributed to Honda's profit. So they're, I don't know, they're being pretty successful about it, I suppose. Honda's MIBE, I guess it is, or MIBE, I'm not sure who. Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It might be MIBE.
It's probably MIBE.
Yeah, it is. Toshihiro Mibe said that he sees good progress in ongoing talks with rival Nissan Motor over a possible partnership to collaborate on producing EV components, and that he helps to update the market in the near future. Yeah, pretty cool. Honda, which is a latecomer to purely electric vehicles that only run on a battery, plans to spend 1.19 trillion yen for research and development this year, up 23% from the previous year. And they want to produce 2 million hybrid models in a year by 2030 and have been planning their business strategy taking into account necessary investment. God, they must have
that's going to be a significant increase.
a
Well,
ton
right.
of money.
They must, yes. Well, aren't they one of the,
Top.
major worldwide manufacturers?
Yeah, and they were huge
Like,
in
at least on
Canada.
the ICE side. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, our last article for today is going to be kind of messy, like the automotive news one, and it's because for whatever reason, I can't log into my Wired account.
But you can access the content in the item that I sent you.
But it's over there.
Understood.
So, so the article's over in Reality Hacker, but it's because it's from Wired, and an innovative EV motor used by Lamborghini, McLaren, and Ferrari is being mass-produced by Mercedes. Compared to the usual EV power plants, axial flux motors are smaller and lighter and have more torque, but they're hard to make at scale. Now Mercedes is bringing them to the masses. So these are some concept cars, but yeah, and it's telling me that I can't log in. So car enthusiasts more on the commoditization of propulsion. Once petrol heads have chosen a BMW for its sonorous straight 6 or a Mercedes AMG for its thunderous V8, now many believe that the distinctiveness is rapidly diminishing. Electric cars might provide mad, silent thrust, but a common complaint is that they're mostly indistinguishable from the character of their drivetrains. And that is the end of what I can actually talk about regarding this. But
so the main thrust of the article is about the conventional radial flux motors. And then something radically different. But I don't know what that radically different thing is.
Okay, hold on a second. So it says
coils, it looks like.
Sorry, let me see if I can catch up to it. It says soon there's going to be a choice between the conventional radial flux motors that have powered almost every EV until now and something radically different. Axial flux motors won't necessarily offer more power, but they are so much lighter and smaller that their proponents say that they have potential to transform almost every other key measure of an EV's performance and the architecture of the car designed around them. Because they're smaller and they provide more power and torque, everything around the car can change. By the way, you'll be able to access this article through the link. I just can't because for some reason I can't log into my account. I am a subscriber to Wired, so... more importantly, the new design of the motor might help address the growing public backlash against overweight, expensive EVs. They might reduce the weight of the typical EV by around 440 pounds, half in the motors themselves, and half from the mass compounding effect, which allows you to reduce the weight of other systems, such as batteries and brakes, as a result. So, a dramatic decrease in the size means you can actually make the vehicle smaller and still have the performance metrics of the larger footprint. So it's all about the physics involved in the chemistry of the batteries changing and designs changing and culture changing so that we don't have these big ass ugly vehicles on the road causing much more damage when they get into car accidents. And they end up talking about other things in this article, but I think I'm just gonna call it because I can't. I tried to log in beforehand, but I couldn't for whatever reason, and I don't want to belabor it. But again, you listeners will be able to click on the link, go through ohmTown, and see the article, at least until your temporary subscription runs out, like mine. Anyway, so we're gonna jump into our micro minibus ohmTown edition and race down. Oh, look, we got there already. Look how fast we are.
Faster
And
than a lot of the vehicles that we've been talking about.
yeah, exactly. Particularly that 1982 Camaro. So there's a bunch of articles that are categorized in 6 main categories, 50 channels. One of them is four-wheel tech. We throw it into the education side because we talk about tech and vehicles. And we always refresh it at the end of the show. So 2025 Aston Martin Vantage gets a bold new body and big power boost. Okay.
Oh, that must be a hit. There's actually 2 articles about that model.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But that's it. I am Merwat. Thank you for watching Four Wheel Tech. We will be back next week for this show. But every day is ohmTown Daily News Show. Doesn't focus all that much on any one particular topic, which is why it's the holistic It's the holistic show that discusses everything broad spectrum across ohmTown.com. So come on back. Again, I am Mayor Watt, and all around me is the sentient AI from the future.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Four Wheel Tech.
And we'll clean up our mess and production value. See you next week. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. My battery is drained.